Thanks for joining us today on Drop the Tailgate. I'm Barry Cross, the Region 2 Communications and Outreach Coordinator, and we are on Laurel Hill Wildlife Management Area. And today, Pam McDonald, the manager out here, has joined me, and we're going to talk about everything Laurel Hill. So, Pam, how many years have you been at Laurel Hill?
I've worked as the area manager at Laurel Hill for 7 or 8 years now.
And this is a big time of year for you guys because you're coming into deer season. And I know that a lot of people may not understand how it operates down here. And this is mostly a quota hunt WMA. How does that work?
Well, anytime you go to any WMA, it's always good to check the hunting and trapping guide because some WMAs are set up on same as statewide seasons. And then others, like Laurel Hill, have special seasons. We have roughly 2 weeks of archery earlier than statewide. We have a youth hunt that is a weekend, and it's a week earlier than the same as statewide. And they're both open to anybody. You don't have to have a special permit, just the license that are applicable to a WMA are all you need.
So those are non-quota hunts, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then all of the gun hunts, we have a 4-day muzzleloader hunt. It's a week earlier than same as statewide. And we also have 3 rifle gun hunts. And the first one opens a week earlier than the regular gun season does statewide. And they're all quota hunts. So the quotas are 500 hunters are all that's allowed on all those hunts. And a person needs to look in the guide, and there's instructions on how to go online and apply, and it's always usually about the middle of July when you put in for those quota hunt drawings.
So if you're planning on hunting with a gun down here at Laurel Hill, you need to start thinking about that right after the beginning of buying your license and look for the quota hunt application period to come open and put in for one of the draw hunts. When I looked in the guide, it said, I think the 4 gun hunts that you have, muzzleloader and the 3 gun, they all say bonus deer. Does that mean it doesn't count towards our limit?
That's right. It's an extra one that is above the statewide buck limit. Anytime it says bonus, it could be, some management areas even have bonus turkeys, some have bonus deer, so that's an animal you can get above the statewide limits.
The thing with coming down here is you need to know that there are some restrictions in place when you're hunting deer down here, aren't there?
Yeah, we have antler restrictions at Laurel Hill. There's probably, I'm guessing, 4 wildlife management areas across the state that still have some type of antler restrictions. So at Laurel Hill, a buck has to have at least 4 points on one side or at least a 15-inch spread.
What you're allowed to take, is it 1 buck or is it 1 doe? What are you allowed to take out here?
Most of the gun hunts are buck only. You can only harvest 1 buck, and it's a bonus. The third gun hunt that is the first weekend of December, it's a either sex hunt, so you could kill a doe or a buck.
Okay, and what about the juvenile hunt?
The juvenile hunt, the antler restrictions are lifted. So a youth could come and they can kill anything they want to, a buck or a doe of any size.
And that's a non-quota hunt. Anybody can come out here for the juvenile hunt.
Yep, that's like mid-October, 17th and 18th, I believe, are the dates. And the youth can come kill a buck or a doe.
You know, there's that old movie about baseball. They say build it and they will come. Nothing happens accidentally, really, does it? I mean, this land out here, you've been manipulating this for the whole time you've been here.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you had a tornado come through and tore down a bunch of trees. How have you worked to improve habitat on this property?
Well, like you said, the tornado was significant because it laid down 600 acres of timber overnight. So what we did was did a harvest sale on that timber, and then we're going to just let it naturally regenerate because it's just more or less a straight line 6 miles long, probably less than a quarter mile wide. At this point it's got, let's see, it was in 13, so
okay.
Several years growth on it. and it's getting pretty woolly, which is good for wildlife management. But, you know, we're pretty much 80% mature hardwoods at Laurel Hill. We haven't ever done a significant logging rotation, and we don't plan to. We did cut one tract this spring, roughly 100 acres, and that's all I'm planning to harvest timber-wise in my career. But we did cut it. It's fairly flat ground, and I thought it would make a nice small game opening, just to completely clear the stumps and let it be managed for small game area. But then as far as the rest of the land, you know, with these wet summers that we've been having, we've got probably 2,000 acres at least of open ground, and every 3 years you've got to do something to it or it just grows back, you know, it gets too woody and too big that you'd have to get a dozer in it to manage it. So you have to burn it, disc it, something to keep the trees from getting too big on you that you can't handle it.
Yeah. And you mentioned small game. There's a lot of small game opportunities out here. I know you can squirrel hunt and rabbit hunt, but there's even quail.
Yeah, we have a fair amount of quail, but Laurel Hill was initially set up to be a small game management area. So that's another bonus to me of having the quota hunt system, because people can come out here and squirrel or rabbit hunt, and they don't have to worry about making a deer hunter mad because a pack of dogs has run under his stand, you know. So there's just those 4 weekend gun hunts, and the rest of the time the small game hunters can do what they want to hunting wise. So that's kind of a win-win. The hunts are earlier, which lets people get out in the woods earlier than, say, my statewide season, so the deer hunters like that. And then the small game hunters like it because, you know, it's not like they're going to make anybody mad by trying to do what they enjoy.
Yeah, and you know, on top of that, you're talking about hunting, but when you think about an area like this, there's a lot more opportunity out here. I know you have some horse trails. How does that work with the big game hunting? And
well, we do have 30 miles of horse trails, and they can ride any time that there's not a big game season going on. So as long as there's not a deer or a turkey season, they can ride. Okay. And they just have to have either a license that would be valid to hunt the WMA or the high impact permit.
Along with the horseback riding, I see that in the guide it says something about ATVs or OHV, but you don't really necessarily have trails specifically for riding those. What is that talking about?
We just mentioned that because, you know, it's a question that everybody wonders about if they can ride here or not. We've got 30 miles of roads through Laurel Hill, and they're nice chert gravel roads, but you can't ride your ATV or side-by-side anywhere except where you could drive a truck or a car. So we don't have designated off-road trails. During the deer hunts, we do allow people to bring an ATV to help them retrieve a harvested animal. You know, you could ride on the 30 miles of roads, but you would still have to have your permit or a license.
This is kind of a unique WMA in that there's actually water on this property, and you've got a couple lakes and a river running through.
We do. We have VFW Lake. It's around 20-something acres, and we also have Laurel Hill Lake. It's like 425 acres. And then the Little Buffalo runs pretty much right through the center of Laurel Hill, and it's a nice size creek that people could have a lot of wading opportunities to fish. And it's got some nice holes, deep holes for smallmouth or rock bass, bluegill, some catfish. It's not enough flow really that a person could just come and put a kayak and go.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much wading.
Yeah.
You'd have to pick your spots.
And certain times of year, I hear there's some trout in there from
We
time to
do,
time.
yeah. They do the trout stocking. I think they call it the spring or summer trout stocking because it starts in like February or March and goes all the way to the first week of June.
So it's a cold river.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we move past the deer hunting and the winter small game and all that, we come into turkey season. I know turkeys have been studied down here in these southern counties that border Alabama. How is turkey changing for you this year?
This year in Lincoln, Giles, Lawrence, and Wayne counties, they have shortened the season by 2 weeks. So pretty much mid-April to mid-May is our season this year, and the limit is dropped.
Okay, so down here you got to pay attention to the limits, and you got to pay attention to the season opening dates, because right now there's a study going on to determine why the turkey population has taken a dip in these counties, but there's still turkey out here, aren't there?
There are. This spring, you know, COVID just kind of got going in March, and so we probably had more turkey hunters than we've had in a long time. But we still harvested like 12 birds for 15,000 acres. So the numbers are down here, but there are some turkeys here. You don't have to put in for a quota or anything.
Okay.
But it's not a bonus bird either.
Okay. If you're planning a trip to come to Laurel Hill WMA, it is just west of Lawrenceburg on Highway 64, is that right?
Well, it's kind of the corner between the Natchez Trace Parkway, Turnpike, and Napier Road, that northwest corner of Lawrence County. And we do have some campgrounds as well, primarily for hunters and fishermen, but there's 3 primitive campgrounds that people can come and stay.
Okay, and like we said, the deer hunts this year, if you hadn't already gotten your quota permit to hunt it, you're out of luck this year, but be sure and look for the quota application period this summer. If you want to come down and small game hunt, there's plenty of opportunity for squirrel, rabbit, there's some quail. You can run your dogs, have a good day. Do they have to stop hunting like a day before the big game hunts, or?
Just at sunset the day before.
Okay. And great place, lots of places to run around. So it's another WMA you can check out. If there are any questions that we didn't answer, go to the hunting guide and look in there and see if that helps any. If not, give us a call.